Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you don't know who I am Morgan, and today we are doing some sewing. It is 5 p.m. on Memorial Day, and my goal is to make a flower bag and cut out all the fabric for a pair of pants and maybe get to sewing for that. So let's get started. Before I got started, I gave all of my fabric a quick iron. For this bag, I'm using 2 different colors and I got a ½ yard of each. I'm using cotton fabric, but you can use any material that you want. In the past, I've used old tote bags, and that makes a great liner because it's really thick and durable. Once all the fabric was ironed out, I got to cutting it. I'm using a previous flower bag that I made before as my pattern piece, but if you're making this at home, you'll want it to be about 20 inches long, and then at the widest part, I have mine at about 17 inches wide. The narrowest part of the pattern is about 5 inches wide. I would add about ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch for seam allowance too. These dimensions should give you enough room to securely wrap a fairly large bouquet of flowers. And once that was done, I repeated the process with my second color. And then for straps, you are going to need 4 straps that are 2½ inches by 7 inches long. Arm straps, it's really going to vary based on how much fabric you have left. For this amount, I was able to cut out 2 that were 3 inches by about 18 inches long. If you have more fabric and want to make it longer, that definitely helps make it easier to carry the bouquet. When I made a bag using an old tote bag, I used those straps and it worked out great. I have all the straps cut out. I have the body piece cut out too. So now what I'm going to do is fold and iron all the straps so I can get ready to sew those. Definitely do not skip this step. It makes it so much easier to sew them evenly, especially the really long straps for the arms. It is a necessary step, and honestly, it only takes like 5 minutes. So really, there's no reason to skip it. Once they were all ironed, I sewed them together and I left a 1/4 inch seam allowance for each one. For these, you're going to sew along the edge and the top, leaving the bottom open so you can flip it inside out. Here is sewing ASMR for you. All the straps are done. Now it's time to flip them inside out. Loop turners make this so much easier, so I highly recommend getting one of those. The straps are all flipped inside out and ironed, and the next thing I'm going to do is top stitch along the edge, and what this is going to do is create a nice, like, sturdier looking strap. The next step is going to be sewing the body pieces together. Unfortunately, this was the part of the process where I was really stressed, so I forgot to film. So we're going to cut to a clip of me making a different bag, and I'll show you how to set this up. The tie straps are done, so we are ready to assemble it. I laid them both down on top of the fabric with the sides facing in. So these are the unfinished edges, and they're just sticking out a little bit. And then we're going to put the right side of the pink piece over. The right sides are together on here, so now we're just going to pin it all around. And the next step is sewing it together. I like to leave the bottom part completely open, so that way I can flip it inside out, and then it also makes it easier to sew it shut because I can fold it in very neatly. After it is flipped around and turned inside out, I do top stitch around the entire edge to give it a nice sturdy finish. I forgot to film that step, so I'm just telling it to you so you know what to do. Okay, the arm straps are done. So now the last thing I need to do is sew them onto the bag. I forgot to film this, but I did the top stitching. And what I did with it was I used a green bobbin and then I used orange for the top, so it blended in. Works well. Pro tip too, when you're sewing the straps on, is you want them to be like right here and right here, because that's where the petals of the flower are gonna be. It's gonna be where it's heaviest. I've noticed with one of the bags I made that when I balanced out too much, it became very like top heavy, so it fell forward. And by having the straps here, you have a little bit more control over the angle you hold it at. And then I usually hold it on like an angle. Okay, this is where I pin the straps. So now let's sew them on. I do an X box to sew the straps on. I think it makes it a lot sturdier and it also adds a little bit nicer of a finish than just doing a line across. While you won't be carrying a lot of weight in these bags because it is a bouquet of flowers, I still think it's important to do the X box because it does make it like a lot sturdier and it just looks a little bit nicer than just a single line where I feel like that gets a little floppy. I finished the bag, turned out great. Took a little bit longer than I expected because I had some machine issues, but she's done. It's now almost 10 o'clock though, so I will not be working on anything else tonight, but I will be later in this week and it'll all be just in this video. Okay, I lied. That's all that's in this video, but thank you for watching and subscribe to see more.